summation I to 1 to n fi to the power k. Okay, and we can also consider okay. So this is what we would like to do. Okay, and so for example, n equal to 5 and the stream is 42411, and our goal is to estimate fk from stream using small memory. Okay, so we would like to give. So this is from the paper, AMA's classical paper from 1998. Okay, and so we are going to give an estimate for fk from stream using small memory. Okay, so is the question clear to all of you? What is our goal?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. So now, rather than talking about f itself, we are going to define, actually, we'll try to do a more general estimation problem. So we would like to compute a function of the vector f. So for example, let g rho of the stream be, this is basically a linear, like additive function from I equal to 1 to n, gi equal to fi, where gi is some real valued function from real to real. The only thing which I ask is that at 0, the gi takes the value 0. Okay, so this is all that I'm asking this function to be. So for example, let's look at this. So what can it allow us to do? For example, this might allow us to do compute like g, maybe I equal to 1 to 7, some fi square we are interested in. Okay, and from I plus 1 to n, maybe we are interested in some fi 5. I mean, why people would be interested in these kind of things is not clear, but so be it. So now, how can we talk about our function? Well, that is very easy. Now, if suppose you have a function h of x equal to x power k, right? Then what is the f? How can we write? So what is fk of rho is nothing but, you can think of this as summation fi to the power k. So now we can write our g rho as nothing but summation I equal to 1 to n h of fi, right? This is basically, so whatever fi I give, it is going to give x to the power k. So for each I, we could have had a different function, but it could also be the same function. So whatever moment function we are interested in is a instantiation of this, is a one instantiation of this much more general estimation problem that we would be interested in. So, so we have n functions where each of these functions are of f1 to f, like corresponding to the index. And the only thing which I demand is that at 0, this takes 0. Okay? Any question? Okay. So frequency moment fk, where for each I, g of fi is some h of fi, then, and where h of x is equal to x power k. So this corresponds to frequency moment. People also studied something called entropy of stream, which is nothing but you try to come up with a, given the sigma, you are interested in fi log fi. In fact, there should be a minus, but doesn't matter. So people do study in streaming several function of this frequency moment, like several function of this frequency vector. Okay, frequency moment happens to be one such vector. Okay. Okay. So far, so good. Okay. Let's go ahead. Okay. So now I'm going to give you an AMA sampling, but what I'm going to give you is I'll first try to give you an unbiased, like an estimator for this particular problem, right? That we want to compute some g of this row of the stream, and the only thing which are we guaranteed that for each index g of I is 0 is 0. Okay, and let's see how we go about it. Okay, so I'm going to propose a unbiased AMA sampling. Okay, so first let's try to understand what this tells us. So for now, forget that we are talking about stream. Okay, this is a non-stream version, and then we will make it a stream version in a minute. Okay, so this is a non-stream version for now. Okay, so an unbiased estimator for GJ is following. you sample uj uniformly at random from a stream of length n, right? Okay, so what are we going to do? So suppose this is a stream E1, E2, em. Okay, then I sample one of the element of this stream uniformly at random, and imagine that you picked up EJ. Okay, and so, but what is EJ? So you know that each of these element belong to 1 to n. So fine, you have, so from m length stream, you have generated an index j, whose value is I. So now then you define this set R. What is R? Well, all those indexes which is greater than j, okay, greater or equal to j, whose value is like the E of little j is equal to E of j, which is equal to I. So basically what is trying to tell us that, look, if you have guessed this, now just count how many times this element appears in the stream starting from here. And what I'm going to output? I'm going to output m times, where m is the length of the stream, and gi of whatever object we have, like gi of what is this number of times this appears, right? R is the cardinality of this set minus gi of r minus 1. Okay, so is the explanation of AMA sampling clear? Okay, so let's just do an example. Okay, just to, so suppose here's a stream 1 3 1 10 5 1 10 5 5 2 1 30 3 3. So what is the length of this string? What is m here in this? What is m equal to?
13.
Great. Can anybody tell me a random index from here? Like from here, from 1 to 13, can you tell me one random index?
Really?
Huh? Tell me one.
Also 7.
7. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Is this fine?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So suppose this is what you sampled. Then what is this value? So suppose now what is E7 is equal to 10, right? Now what is R? R is the cardinality of those places which is greater or which comes after the index 7 or forward, whose value is equal to 10. So what is the R here? Only 7, right? So this is equal to 1, right? So what I'm going to return then? I'm going to return 13 G7, right? Okay, yeah, no, it is not G7, G10. And what is R is 1 minus G10 of 0. Okay, so for example, if you would have told me, say, another index, suppose someone would have come, is like 4th. So 4th is also 10, right? So now, but look at now R. R is going to have those indexes whose value is 10 and which comes after greater or equal to 4. So the R is going to be 4. And then, no, is the 5th index equal to 10? No. Is the 6th index equal to 10? No. Is the 7th index equal to 10? Yes. So let's put that index. But there are only 2 of them. Okay. So R is 2. The cardinality of R is 2. Of the set is 2. So what will, if this would have been the index, we would have returned 13 times G10. What is R? 2 G times 1. Okay. Similarly, suppose you would have picked up 1, then what we would have done? Well, then it would have been m, it would have been 13, but how many times 1 occurs? 1, 2, 3, 4 times, right? So this would have been equal to 13 g of 1 4 times, g of 1 3 times. This is it. So is the what the algorithm is doing is clear to you? All of you, if yes, put +1. Okay. Good. Okay. So this is what our algorithm is. Okay. And notice that can we implement this in streaming. Okay, so look, we need two things, right? First thing is, like, this is easy to compute, m, right? Length of the stream. So you just keep one counter, right, which tells me the length of the stream. Okay, but what do I need to do? I need to also generate an index from stream of length m, right? This is the only thing which we need. So we need to come up with an index on the fly, and once I have generated the index, I need to count how many times this element appears in this part of, like, in the part of the stream which starts from here and till the end. Okay, so these things are what we need, and so thus the difficult part or non-difficult part is how to generate a random thing. Okay, but that is very easy. We can apply reservoir sampling, okay, and implement this. So we'll see in a minute how we go about doing this. Okay, so here is our AMS estimate algorithm. S is null. Okay, so what is this going to store? It is going to store what is the value. Okay, what is the value of my current guessed item. Okay, okay. What is m? Number of items seen so far in the stream. Okay, and what is r? Occurrences of s, okay, after we have decided the index. Okay, after we have decided the index. Okay, okay. So now what are we going to do? While the stream is not empty, what should we do? Okay, the length of stream has increased by 1, so I make m to m plus 1, and suppose that currently the stream has a of m. Now, how did the reservoir sampling did? Well, so what we did is that with probability 1 over m, okay, we decide, so you are basically storing a, like storing, this is the S, which is basically telling you who's my current item that I'm going to store as my random guess, right? So what we do at the moment an item comes, with probability 1 over m, okay, we either keep him, or with probability 1 minus 1m, we throw him out. Am I right? Okay. So if coin turns up head, then what we know? We know that our current guess is AM, right? So whatever S was null, we replaced S with the current content, which is M. And now the occurrences of AM, occurrences of S starting from here, right? So you initialize R21 because you have seen 1, and otherwise what you do, you just check. So if you are not going to remove the item, then you say, hey, whether at this index the element which I have which has come, is it equal to the element that we have guessed? Okay, so you just check, is AM equal to F? If it is, then you increment R equal to R plus 1. Okay, and then what are you going to return as an output? Number of items and GS of R minus GS of R minus 1. Okay, any question? Or is the algorithm clear? Is the streaming implementation of this algorithm clear to all of you?
So yes, sir. I don't understand what is GS of R and GS of R minus 1. How are we writing the values of?
G is some function which we don't know yet. Okay, it doesn't matter. It's just a function. Okay, it's a function which has the following property. What is the property? That GS of 0 is equal. That's all. 0. Right? Now, how it is given to my algorithm, how it is not given, we do not know. All I'm trying to tell you that AMS algorithm is good for all those functions G which has this property. That's it. Now,
okay.
So imagine that this is like the function G is given to you as a black box. Okay, so you ask.
Okay, sir.
Like you ask me, give me GS of some number. I will give you that number. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Similarly, you ask me. So all you need to ask me is two computation of G of S, right? One G of S of R, other is G of S of R minus 1. Okay. That's it. So we're
Okay,
just
sir.
doing an
Yes.
analysis, and we will. So whenever you want to whenever you have some g which has this property that g of s of 0 is 0, then you know that g, and you can put that g as a part of your algorithm. But at this point of time, so for example, one g of s will be this x power k, right? Moment. Okay, moment.
Yes,
So,
sir. Yes, sir.
right. So this is one instantiation of that. Okay. So, but all we are saying that look at this sketch. This is good for all function this. So if your function is of this type, then you apply this. But when you are trying to apply this algorithm on your particular g, you also have to worry about how to input that g to your algorithm. You get my point? Can I put that g in a very good? Also notice that like this function g could be just like already put into the part of the memory of the computer, right? Because that is not something which is going to be updated. You get my point? So there are several
okay, sir.
this g, but it will depend on your instantiation of this algorithm for your function g. Okay. Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Okay. You're welcome. Okay. So now I want to say, look, let y be the output of the algorithm. Expectation of y is equal to g of rho. So what is g of rho? Is I equal to n g of I of fi. So what is this tells us? If I show this is an unbiased estimator, right? Okay. So let me tell you a slightly different argument, which I find a little bit more interesting and easy. So suppose this is my input, W1, W2, W3, this is my stream, okay? And Wm, this is my stream, okay? And for now, let's believe that W3 is also equal to 7. And say W7 is also equal to 7, okay? Wm is also equal to 7, and there are other quantities, okay? Just to understand. Now, what is an y? Y is a random variable. Agreed? Okay. Y is a random variable. What are possible value y can take? Can anybody tell me? What is a random value? Random variable, not random value, random variable. Okay. So, what is the meaning of random variable, right? It takes some values, right? Some possible values, right? Right. So what are the possible values y could take? Do you understand my point? So y could potentially take the following value. Say m times, if I chose the first element W1, then what will it be? Right? Then it will be function of g, whatever this W1 is. I don't know what this W1 is, right? So let's say W1 is an index, right? So g of W1 times number of times this guy appears here. So R, okay, or it could be m of GW2 and whatever times this element appears from here to here minus something. So these are the possible values it could take. Agree? So now let me ask you, so suppose if I told you that 7 appears these many times, 3 times, let's say even 4 times for now, let's say, just to make slightly nicer, let's say Wm prime is also equal to 7, okay? So suppose it only appears 4 times. So let's ask ourselves, okay, what is the value of W3? Can you tell me what will be the value of W3? Like what will be the, if this is the guy which is selected as my random element, then I'm going to return m times, notice, G7 and what it will be? If this is the guy who is selected as your, like, see, what are we doing? So one of the index you select as a guess, right? Suppose it's the third index, right? So what is the third value of third index? 7. Now, can you tell me what it will be then? And I told
G7 of 4 minus G7 of
3. Yeah.
Great. Excellent. Okay. Nice. And suppose this is the index which is selected, then what it will be?
G7 of 3 minus G7 of 2.
Agreed? Okay. Very nice. Okay. Suppose if this is the index we are going to select. If this is what we are going to select, then what will be their case?
G7 of 2 minus G7 of 1.
Excellent. Very nice. And what will be if I select the last one, this one? Is this correct? Agreed?
Yeah.
Okay. So what is an expectation of Y? Expectation of Y is going to be, if you select W1, then the corresponding item here, right? If you selected W2, like, so what is this? So this, like, if you selected W2, expression for that value and its probability, right? This is what is going to be, right? Like the values it can take and the probability by which it takes that particular value. Am I right? Okay. Now you tell me, it is going to take this value with what probability? This one. What is the probability of selecting 3 as its index?
1 by m.
Okay. Does everybody agrees to that? What is the property of that algorithm? The property of there is only one place where we use randomness, right? Choosing the index, and each of these index are equally likely, right? So if I choose this index, then this is the value what my random variable is going to return. Okay. If I choose this one, then this is the value which we are going to return. And I could have chosen any of this index with probability 1 over m. So this is why expectation, if you do an expectation of Y, you have to multiply 1 by m everywhere. Okay. So basically, if I multiply with 1 by m everywhere, then notice what happens. This m and this m will get cancelled. This m and this m will get cancelled. And look, these are going to be summed up. It's like these are plus. Now, which means that G73 and this will get cancelled. G72, this will get cancelled. This and this will get cancelled. So only thing which will be left is this and this, right? So it's like frequency minus the last term. So this is 0, okay? Now I will do formally, don't worry, okay? So let's do, how can we do formally? Let's see if I have space. I don't know, like there are other ways of doing it also. It's not something, okay, let me do. You will understand what is happening. Okay. Okay. So let's try to understand what is happening. So now what I'm going to do, so I'm going to write this expectation of Y, right? So first of all, I know that all these entries could be either 1, 2 or n, right? So I'm going to club together the way I clubbed here, all the Wi's which were equal to 7, right? We clubbed them and we wrote down this. Now I'm going to club all these guys based on if the W1, which all values are 1, which all values are 2, which all values are 3. So expectation of Y is going to be equal to summation I going from 1 to n, okay, and now summation J going from 1 to its frequency, okay, and probability of getting this 1 by m times m G I, because this is the ith element, J minus G I, J minus 1. Okay. Do you agree to this?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Right. Now, m will get cancelled. Then what is this? Summation I equal to 1 to n. And look, this is the telescopic series. This is what we proved in the last picture, right? Or you can just write it now. But then what is the only thing which will be left? The only thing which is going to left from here is Gi Fi minus Gi 0. But what is Gi of 0? 0. This is where we have, this is the only place where I'm going to use. So summation I going to 1 by n gi fi, right? But this is exactly what we wanted to compute, no? This is exactly what our g of rho is, right? So are we done? Have we shown that what we have is an unbiased estimator? Okay. Okay. So this works for large ranges of things. It's a good unbiased estimator for large number of functions. Now, whether we can make use of this in a proper way or not is a very different question, but it is an unbiased estimator for large classes of function. Okay. Any question up until now?
No, sir.
Okay. If you have any question, ask me, because this is a good time to ask question. Okay. 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 So there are other ways of doing it also. Okay. So how you can do otherwise you would have done. So what you say that, look, okay. So what is the probability that you're going, the index which you have chosen has value I, okay? Because what is this? So what is the probability that index which you have chosen has value I? So well, there are, how many items are there which value is going to be I? It is Fi, frequency, right? So Fi over M. And now you can apply some conditional probability to say, look, what is the, so this is again I going from 1 to, it actually boils down to the same thing actually, okay? So now you are saying, what is the probability? So what is an expectation of Y given that you have picked up ith element, and then probability of that. So probability of aj of equal to I is Fi of M, and your expectation of Y aj equal to I, if you do this, you will get the same thing, okay? But okay, I find without conditional expectation slightly easier to understand, and then we know what is happening. Okay. So I'm not going to spend my time on that. Okay. Now we are going to apply this to estimate frequency moment. So what is frequency moment? So now we are only interested in g rho equal to f of k for some k greater than equal to 1, k greater than, strictly greater than 1. That is g of ix equal to xk for each. Then now we are interested in what is the variance of b. Okay. So now we are trying to, so we first gave an unbiased estimator. Now we are trying to analyze this unbiased estimator for a particular function which corresponds to frequency moment, which means for every index, my function is x to the power k. Okay. Is the goal clear?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So now, so what we are going to prove to you is the following, that when g of x equal to xk, then variance of y is going to be this quantity, okay, which you see in the picture. Okay. Now let me make some remark, comment. Okay. What is the meaning of this? Okay. What is the meaning of this? So to do that, so what I want to tell you is that let's remember the Chebyshev inequality. What is the Chebyshev inequality tells us? Chebyshev tells us that probability x minus expectation of x greater than equal to k rho, okay? This is your standard deviation, is at most 1 over k square, or if you'd have done, you could also have written variance of x by k rho whole square, right? Because k rho plays the role of a, which implies this would have been, this is, since rho square is nothing but variance of x, they will get cancelled and you will get exactly 1 over k square. Okay, so there's a reason why I'm writing it as this. Okay. Okay. So what is the probability that, and what is my, so this is, so what I would like to show, I would like to show that, hey, what is the probability? Okay. Now I want to apply in our setting y minus fk is greater than equal to k times, what is our standard deviation? What is our standard deviation? All I can say is square root of, I should have, okay, let's see, n 1 minus 1k and fk goes out. Do you agree? There should be one k also inside. Is this fine? I think there should be a k inside, no? Yeah, true.
So the K would be inside and outside, right?
Yeah. Okay. Okay. But then what is this equal to at most?
1 over
Can
K
you tell
square.
me? Huh?
1 by K square.
Okay, let's say, okay, I want to say something. I want to understand how much it deviates from expectation, right? This is our goal generally. What are we trying to do? How much do you deviate from expectation, right? So what is our expectation? Fk, right? This is our expectation, okay? So forget about anything else, okay? Now let's suppose I wanted to understand, so what are we trying to achieve anyway from all this inequality, right? Is that, well, how much do you deviate from Fk, okay? From the expectation, okay? Now, what is this greater than equal to? Okay, so forget about, okay, so what I'm trying to tell you that look at this Fk, okay? Look at this Fk, this is my expectation, okay? Now, all of you have told me that, look, this is greater than equal to this is nothing but variance by expectation, sorry, variance by a square. So suppose this is a square, this is my whole thing is a, okay? So what is this going to be, okay? Let's see, k square n to the power 1 minus 1 by k f square k. Agreed? Right? And what is my variance? Okay. No.
So
Is
there
this
would
not
be a
correct?
K. There would be a K in the denominator. There would be another K in the denominator.
Is this correct? Why there will be another k? It is
So
what we said is less than equal to 1 over a square. Okay, so what? No, what are you saying? Tell me.
so we said that when x minus e of x is greater than equal to k sigma, that is less than 1 by k square.
Yes. Right. So what is our sigma here?
So, sir, our sigma would be a square root of k times n minus 1 minus 1 by k into f of k.
Yes. There should be a k inside, you are saying.
So there should be a k in the square root as well.
Okay, you are right. And there
And
should
when
be
we
sk.
square, and when we square that to put it in the denominator on the right side, there would be another k there.
Yeah. So is this correct?
There would be k cube,
Okay. Some k cube doesn't matter. Is this fine?
and there would be variance of x in the numerator,
Which is?
k times n to the 1 minus 1 by k into fk square.
So all those things will get cancelled, right?
Yes, sir. We'd be left with 1 by k square only.
This is something I think I'm making some unnecessary mistake here. Just wait. Give me a minute. What am I trying to explain to you? No. So what I wanted to tell you is the following. Okay. What is my objective? My objective, what are we trying to achieve? Okay. Okay, what are we trying to achieve from this? How far you deviate from your expectation? Am I right? This is our goal. Am I right? How far do we deviate from our expectation? Okay,
Yes, sir.
and right. Uh, so, is there other form of Chebyshev? Just one second. Chebyshev inequality is there. Oh no. Shouldn't there be something from the expectation? Okay, wait. Is there no form for Chebyshev in terms of expectation? Anybody?
Maybe we can write variance as expectation.
How?
But then the variables would be different. Maybe e of x squared minus e of x whole square or something like that. Or for variance.
Okay, wait. I think I messed up. Okay, so now what I wanted to say is the following. Okay, let's see. Okay, one second. Give me a minute. Okay, let me see my computation. Okay, I think. Okay, let's see. Okay, so what I want to communicate is the following. Okay, so what I want to communicate is the following. Okay, suppose uh,
Sir, so I had a doubt.
Okay, please.
So
go ahead.
what are we trying to achieve there, sir? Like,
I want to explain to you the space requirement here with I wanted to tell you the difference, like when is a compute, like variance calculation is like, what kind of values should you expect from Chebyshev that it is good for your variance, okay? Like that it is good for you.
okay, sir.
Okay, so let me explain to you what it means, okay? Okay, so suppose, so what we know that expectation of y is fk, okay? Okay, expectation of y is fk, and variance of y is at most k times n to the power 1 minus 1 by k fk square, okay? Now, so if expectation of x whole square, okay, terms appear in variance, okay, terms appear in variance, then that is good for us. You know why that is good for us? Because what does Chebyshev tells you? That Chebyshev basically tells you that probability, okay, that x minus e of x, okay, what does it tells you? Probability that x minus e of x is greater than equal to, okay, is greater than equal to some k times rho, where rho is the standard deviation, is at most 1 over k square, right? Now, if this is what I mean, so if my variance is only so if my variance is like square of my expectation, then my standard deviation is only expectation away. You get my point? So what is my standard deviation? It's just expectation, right? So if my variance is expectation is square, what is that meaning in terms of standard deviation? Is expectation. So what is the meaning of standard deviation? Means you deviate from my expectation, right, by some constant factor, right? Then what does it mean? So then it means that if I wanted to get a constant factor approximation, like if I wanted to be just constant factor away from approximation, then that's good for me if I wanted to achieve constant probability. Do you get my point? Okay. Now, I want this to be bounded by, so now let's try to understand that I want this to be bounded by, let's see if I can explain to you, okay? So now let's try to understand what I'm trying to, okay. So now if I told you that, look, probability that x minus e of x, right, is greater than equal to k, okay, is basically what is rho square by k square, right? Which is where rho is a square root of variance of x, right? This is why we write variance of x by a square, okay? So if we want to get a constant probability, then what do we want? So I want this to be less than equal to, like, so now what are we getting in our setting, right? In our setting, what we are getting is, are we getting a constant probability? Are we, like, if I want to say, so I don't know how to, okay. Okay, let's see. So what this tells us? This tells us that probability x minus e of x, expectation, I want to write this as c times delta times expectation, okay, is less than equal to 1 over c square. Do you agree?
Yes, sir.
Right, where this delta times e of x is standard deviation, right? Now, okay, this is what it is, right? Now, what is my standard deviation? Well, my standard deviation is at this point of time, suppose this is what my standard deviation is, k n to the power 1 minus k fk square, okay? So this is what my standard deviation is. All that we are able to bound is k n to the power 1 minus k fk square. Okay, I think this k is overused, so we shouldn't be using this k. Okay, because that k and this k are not the same k. You get my point? This is like this is like a. I should be writing a here. This is a. This is a square. Okay, which is less than equal. Okay, fine. Now, so this is what we have. Now, so what does this tells us? Look, what are you able to bound at this point of time? Okay, okay. In terms of expectation, what is my Chebyshov tells me? You tell me, what is the Chebyshov tells me? That look, if I just took expectation, right, then I am not getting anything. You get my point? Then I'm absolutely not getting anything at all, right? Because then my okay, let's see. Okay, so I think, okay. So now you ask yourself, what is your delta? What is your delta? In your standard deviation, what is your delta? Delta is going to be a square root of what? This quantity, right?
Yes, sir.
Delta is going to be a square root of, as all of you pointed, k times n 1 minus 1 over k, right? This is my delta, right? Now, what ideally I would have liked to make a statement that, look, what ideally I would like to make a statement is that, well, this is more than this with respect to expectation, right? This is what I want to make a statement. Okay. Now, what happens is in this kind of argument that I want only constant factor approximation away from this. So actually what happens that if I would have interested in, say, hey, what is the probability that x minus expectation of x is greater than equal to some p times expectation of x? What will my Chebyshov inequality tell me? You tell me. If this is what I wanted to say. Can my Chebyshov inequality tell me anything at all? Well, then this will tell me what? All it will tell me is the variance of x, right? Is the variance of f, p times, am I right? Is this what I'm going to tell me?
P squared, I guess.
Sorry, p squared this. Do you agree to this?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Now, what is my variance of x? Because this is what I would like to say, where p is some constant. Okay, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50. Okay. Now, suppose p is like 30. Okay. So what is this? 900. And what is an expectation of x whole square? It is fk square, right? And what is the variance of x? Right? You people just now agreed that this is k times n 1 minus 1 by k fk square. Do you agree to this?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now fk square and fk square cancel. Does this make any sense at all? You get my point? Does this make any sense at all? Is it able to tell me anything useful? Like k to the power n to the power 1 minus 1. Is it telling me any probability that your constant factor approximation away from your expectation is something garbage? You get my point?
Yes, sir.
This is what I wanted to convey to people. Okay. Now, this is where to make this garbage useful, what did we do? We took parallel tricks. So now to make it great, suppose I would have taken not one sample, but several sample. Okay. And done averaging. Okay. So suppose we took Q samples, right, and did averaging. Then what will it be? What it will be? Right? Then it is going to be equal to at most q times variance of x, right, divided by P square, Q square, expectation of X whole square. Do you agree? This is what it's going
Yes,
to
sir.
be, right? But now, and variance of X is again, right? So Fk square and Fk square will get cancelled. And anyway, P is like some 300, so 900. So that is fine. But now to compensate this, what should be my Q square? What should be my Q to compensate this?
K n to the power 1 minus 1 by Q.
Exactly. We will have to take these many samples. You get my point, right? So what I'm trying to tell you that if your variance computation is is constant fact, like is some big O of Fk square, okay, expectation is square, then you are great. Chebyshev will do great for you. But if it is too far away from you, then you need to apply that many samples to bring it down. That's all that I was trying to convey to you. You get my point? Right? So, so whenever you apply, whenever you compute variance, and it is just some big O of expectation of X whole square, it means it is going. If you apply Chebyshev now, then it is going to give you a good constant factor approximation with good probability, like constant probability. You get my point? But if it is too far away from the expectation whole square, then you have to incur that much cost, that much of space. Okay. I hope this is clear. This is what I wanted to convey to you people. Okay. Is that fine?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Right. So, okay. Sorry about this mess up with this computation. We all are human, including me. Okay. Okay. So, yeah, like this delta is like too much for me. Okay. Okay. Anyway. So, so all I was trying to tell you that if your expectation is f of k, variance is this, then if you want to use averaging and Chebyshev, then we need to average roughly these many parallel runs and space to get 1 plus estimation to Fk with constant probability, which implies what? Which implies that, let's see, what does it imply? Okay. So if we wanted to get an epsilon delta approximation, okay, if we wanted to get an epsilon delta approximation, then what it will take, you also have to multiply with this log 1 over delta, okay. But now imagine that k equal to 2, right? And I wanted to get epsilon delta approximation. How much space it is going to take? Anybody? K is 2. How much space?
1 by epsilon square 2 root n.
Exactly. So this is what it is, right? So which is non-trivial, right? So k equal to 3, it's not polylog n, but k equal to 3, you will get n to the power 2/3, right? So for any k equal to 100, you're going to take a space roughly n to the power 99 by 100. Am I right? So you are saving some amount of space, right? Like now, like these are like all sublinear regime. They are not linear, they are sublinear regime, right? So for any fixed moment, we are able to compute this moment approximately in a much nicer way, okay, like in a much smaller space. Is that fine? Okay. Look, I was not doing any computation at this point of time. I was just trying to give you a relation between the expectation and variance, right? So if you compute variance and variance comes out to be some big O of expectation square, then you are in good shape, okay? But if there are more other chunk or more other term, then you will have to compensate them by doing some other tricks, okay? If you have any question, please ask. This is a good time to ask question before I move forward. Anybody?
No, sir, it's fine.
Okay.